Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. I'm trying to share my screen. Let me turn on my camera. Hi, everyone. Good afternoon, and welcome to today's edition. I hope you're as excited as I am. We have a lot lined up. So I'll just give 3 minutes, 2 minutes for a few more people to join the room, and then we can kick off. So looking forward to today and welcome once again. So we'll kick off in the next 2 minutes. Right. Okay. I think we can kick off right now. And yeah. Okay. So welcome again once more to today's event. I know a few of us might be new to the WIFPSA community, so I'll just shed a bit more on that so that we're all familiar as to the reason why we're here and what we're going to do today. So what is WIFPSA? WIFPSA is Women in FMCG and Pharmaceutical Sales in Africa. And it's a company, it's more than just a company, it's actually a network. And what it is built on is a network founded to uplift, empower, and create opportunities for women in all of these industries and even extending to other industries. So there are three core values that we believe in at WIFPSA, which are growth, inclusivity, and leadership. We're here to support women, provide resources, and open doors that once seemed closed to us. If you're a woman navigating any of these industries, you're not alone. WIFPSA is here for you. Our mission is simple. We're going to be breaking down barriers in traditionally male-dominated industries. We want to create platforms for professional development, networking, and leadership growth, of course. And also, we're going to be championing inclusion and meaningful causes. For example, there's a current project being worked on by WIFPSA. It's called Sponsor a Girl Project. It's just a project that helps educate young girls in rural communities, but I'm sure we'll shed more light on that as we progress. WIFPSA is a movement built on leadership, collaboration, empowerment, and innovation. Now, before we begin today, let's warm up with the quick icebreaker. Show of hands if you have ever had to explain your job to a friend, colleague, or a relative, and then you hear something like, oh, so you sell drugs, you sell medicines. Welcome to the world of pharmaceutical sales. Laughter aside, today's conversation is about power, leadership, and action. So to set the tone, we have a very incredible keynote speaker who embodies all of this and more. Our keynote speaker today is Dr. Monica Hemben Eimunjeze. We all talk about women in leadership, but how do we fast track that journey? How do we make sure that we're not just participating, but then we're actually leading? No one is better suited to answer this than Dr. Monica. Dr. Monica is a regulatory affairs expert and wellness advocate, and today she'll be speaking on Accelerate Action, a swift call to advance women in leadership. With her extensive experience in policy, regulation, and industry leadership, she'll break down what it really takes to ensure more women rise to top positions. So please, let's see all the emojis in the chat box. Let's give a very warm welcome to Dr. Monica Hemben Eimunjeze.
Good afternoon. Can you see me? Hello, Jennifer.
Hi, Doctor. Yes, I can hear you clearly, but I'm trying to figure out if we can see you. We can hear you, but we can't see you.
You can't see me.
No, I can see you.
Okay, now I can see you. That was probably my network. We can see you and we can hear you. Welcome, Doctor. We can see you and we can hear you.
All right, thank you very much. So are we ready to start, Jennifer? Do I go ahead?
Yes, please. The floor is all yours.
Okay. So let me first of all okay. So first of all, let me appreciate WIFPSA for the invitation to speak at the International Women's Day 2025. Hope you can all hear me.
Yes.
So we're going to have a conversation about advancing women in leadership and making that a very swift call. I want to appreciate WIFPSA for the invitation, and I thank Jennifer for her kind remarks as we progress with this presentation. My screen is not moving. Could you help me move the screen? It's not moving on my end.
Okay, hi, Doctor. Are you able to share your screen? Otherwise, can you send the slide so we can move it for you? You can stop sharing and try again and see if it comes up. Otherwise, you can share with us and then we'll move the slides for you as you speak.
Okay, I think we figured it out.
All right, one moment, please. We're just trying to get your slides up. Okay, great.
Apologies. Thank you very much. So I'm going to take us through this. It'll be a conversation. We'll look a little bit at how we're going to bridge the gap and have a little discussion about that. Spend some time on how we're championing ourselves, because we actually are the women, and driving organizational change within our different corporations and companies, as well as how we take it to the next level, empower the next generation, and then have a little bit of a call to action. Okay, so just a little bit of data to put us in the right place. I mean, we all know and talk about the fact that there is a gap. But when we look at the data, there's a lot to support that, where we see that women hold only about 28.2% of management positions in the workplace, and that came from UN Women 2023. If we look closer home and we look within our clients, specifically looking at Africa, you're looking at rates that just under 20% for Asia, the Pacific, as well as Africa, and about 10% in the Middle East. So there actually is a gap, and there's quite a bit of documentation to support what we see, where there's actually a gap and the equity needs to be really, really looked at. So I put this little picture. I like having presentations where we have a little bit of pictorials to lighten it. But we're looking at how to take women to the top where we really ought to be. But as we start this conversation, I know that different people are at different stages when we talk about leadership, where some of us are just coming in, others are mid-level, and others are already up in the C-suite. So it's like wherever we are, there's a lot more that we could do, and we all have a role to play and to contribute in bridging that gap and taking us all where we want women to be. Now, a lot has been said about barriers, and I know we could all have our own experiences that we could share when we talk about the barriers. Why are women not where we feel we should be? And for me, I think there are many reasons around that. There are some of the reasons that are institutional, the way our companies and corporations are set up. Some are based around biases and stereotypes, where you have the male dominance. And also for women, there's also sometimes a lack of support. So many of us can really think back within our different careers, within our different spheres. And at one time or the other, through our journeys in our careers, you could relate with some of these issues. So if there isn't support for women at different levels, it's difficult to get to the top. And there are some biases that occur. There are stereotypes that you run across in certain groups. And this all contributes to why we're not really where we need to be or where we want to be. Now, I want to really appreciate this group for championing the cause of women. We really need to champion our own cause. There's no doubt about that. And I was very pleased to get this invitation. And I think it is very important that we work together to make women more visible. I know we have some very distinguished speakers that will expand on some of these. I'm just setting the tone. But it is very important that we make women more visible. We make ourselves more visible at whatever stages that we are. We should support ourselves and make us more visible. We should also give ourselves a voice and provide platforms and opportunities for women to speak. Giving women a voice, I know I've been involved in quite a few things, and sometimes you're in a committee and you're trying to put together an event and you're trying to think of a woman that would fit the bill. A lot of times, we're working majorly with men, and quite a few times I'll say, oh, you don't have a woman. This is not right. There should be a woman here. And so we need to do that a whole lot more, because there are women who fit the bill in every strata, in every subject area, whatever you're doing, there's always a woman there. But do we know ourselves? And that's also why this group that has been formed and has been going on is quite interesting for me. I just came across it, but it provides a resource and lets you know who is out there and who can fit the bill when you need a woman to speak on different issues. Providing a platform for women is also very, very important, as well as celebrating women. We should not wait to be celebrated. We should also celebrate ourselves. Celebrate ourselves at whatever stages we are, the young and upcoming, those who have made it, those who are on the way. We need to provide those opportunities where we can celebrate ourselves and where we can showcase what women actually do and bring to the table. As we look at leadership and driving women to the top, it's very, very important that we remember that men are very much a part of that discussion. I don't know how many of us are Nigerians on this call, but there's some issues going on in the Senate, and we see some things we're not too pleased about, but we have to learn how to engage the men to move our cause forward. And we need to collaborate with each other wherever possible in order to champion women and get our voices out there and make sure we are visible. Now, within the different organizations that we need to drive organizational change. And for me, that starts from the beginning. From the point of hiring, there must be processes and practices in place that are inclusive and make it easier for women to join that corporate organization. Because if you're not hired in the first place, then there is no opportunity for you to rise up to the topmost level. So it starts from the beginning, where we have hiring practices that are inclusive and sensitive to women, and we advance this work-life balance. When we talk about work-life balance, it involves so many different things. As a woman, you have different roles to play at different times. So at some point in your life, you might be having a young family, getting ready to have children and all that. And being a professional does not exclude you from being able to enjoy some of those other things. So it is necessary that within the organizations that we work in, we learn how to balance it with life. And that puts us to something that is very, very dear to me. I am an advocate for wellness and self-care, and we really need to prioritize self-care, taking care of ourselves with or without healthcare professionals. Some on this call are healthcare professionals, but taking time to prioritize self-care and taking care of yourself. For me, when we talk about self-care, there are 7 pillars, and these range from actually eating right, physical exercise, making sure your mental health is taken care of, and doing some of those simple things very deliberately and intentionally. Now, within organizations, it's necessary that we have a culture and a framework that encourages and supports women to remain within the corporations. We should have flexible work hours as much as possible. Remote working should be something that we should be encouraging, as well as providing support when we're at that stage where we're parenting. So having time off, leave with pay, and all those benefits are very important in these organizations to help us drive this change and to support women as they remain within leadership roles. It's also very critical that we have leadership development programs that are within organizations, and that we have management commitment within organizations to drive this change that we talk about. Now, how do we take it to the next level? It is important that we have some reviews and assessments of where we are. Corporations need to look and see what their metrics internally look like. How are they performing when you talk about gender equity? What's the retention like? You have a lot of women dropping out of work. And so if we have some of those metrics around and we review them and assess them, and as women, if we are in at that management level when those decisions are taken, making sure that we are the voice for the other women that are not in the room at that point in time. Continuous learning and development is definitely something we all need to embrace, and we need to be very deliberate and intentional and network and continue to grow our professional as well as our social lives as we look at this leadership. We need to be very open to nurturing younger folk within the professions and the organizations and helping them build up those skills that are necessary for them to get up that corporate ladder. It's also important that we're emotionally intelligent as we work within organizations, and we know how to manage ourselves and those we work with on both ends of the spectrum within the organization, as well as to be very strategic and deliberate as we work to take women up to the next level. So the next generation is, for me, very, very important. Our younger women coming up, we should be very, very open to embracing and supporting them, providing mentorship and guidance where necessary, being able to provide a listening ear sometimes goes a very, very long way, as well as just putting people in the right path and letting them share with you what their concerns, and you also share your experiences while providing opportunities for the young and the next generation to actually develop these skills and showcase what they can do, as well as innovate and drive the change that we're looking for. It's also very important that we celebrate the successes, both for those who have achieved, those who are working at it, and those who are just coming into the field. So as we celebrate those small wins, they become larger wins as we progress. So it's very, very important that we have that next generation that is empowered to take this leadership of women to the next level. So to sum it up, there are quite a few people speaking after me, and I know they're going to go in depth on quite a few of these things are broached, but basically we should be ready to advocate for women wherever we find ourselves. We are representing the whole group. So whenever we have that opportunity, it's very important that we advocate for the inclusion of women and for gender equity. We provide support for women that work with us or that we come across in whatever realm we are, and we implement strategies that encourage women to get into those leadership positions and to stay connected. Networking is very, very critical. So it's very important we maintain those networks. We have the social capital that we can depend on, and we can grow through some of those support systems. Mentorship programs are also very, very important. And I think it is very necessary that we learn to pair and to guide and to mentor people, as well as to celebrate women, as I said, and to drive the change that we are looking for. So those are some of my references, and I thank you all very much for the opportunity and look forward to very engaging discussion.
Thank you so much, Dr. Monica. Wow, if that wasn't a wake-up call for all of us to take bold steps in leadership, I don't know what is. Please, let's give a round of applause to Dr. Monica in the chat box. And we all just have been reminded that advancing women in leadership is not just about talking, it's about taking actions, making strategic moves, and showing up for ourselves and also for others. And since we're all about action today, let's keep the momentum going with our first guest speaker. To introduce her, I'm going to hand over the mic to the amazing Flavia Nabaasa, who I am sure is just as fired up as we all are after that amazing keynote speech. Sylvia, over to you.
Thank you very much, Jennifer. Thank you, Mrs. Monica, for that very insightful keynote speech. Our first guest speaker for today will be Ms. Flavia Nabaasa. She's already here. We'll have a bit of the intro for her. Please, can we share for others to also, please confirm you can hear me. Hi, Ms. Flavia. Good to have you here. Happy International Women's Day, everyone.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Good to have you here. Okay, Ms. Flavia, I would like to have an introduction slide for Ms. Flavia so that everybody will get to meet her as well. And can you hear me? Miss? Okay, that's a better one. Okay, Ms. Flavia is a seasoned business leader, currently a group head with Coca-Cola, and under the business process transformation under the commercial sales, right? She has 24 years experience in FMCG, telecommunications and manufacturing. Ms. Flavia is an executive coach. Really nice to meet you. She's passionate about driving excellence across women and men and unlocking potentials and leading teams towards sustainable success. Ms. Flavia, welcome. We are good to have you here. And we are very, very excited to learn from you today. Happy International Women's Day. So over to you, Ms. Flavia.
Thank you so much, Sylvia, and good afternoon, everyone. Happy Women's Day to everybody on the call. You can keep my banner up because I opted to have a conversation and not PowerPoint.
Yeah,
so that should be fine. I really appreciate the opportunity that WIFPSA has given me to come and connect with each and every one of the ladies on the call. It is for me a passion space when it comes to women in leadership. Just to share a bit of some of the things that I've been involved in. When I got an opportunity to lead people and culture along my career, I'm a sales expert, sales and commercial expert, but I've also ventured into human capital and people and culture. And when the opportunity came up, the first thing that I actually did was set up a Women in Leadership Forum, a monthly series just to enable women discover their full potential. And I can assure you that it does work. Women have amazing potential, and it's our responsibility as leaders to provide a platform. I want to appreciate the keynote speaker, and I really hope that as we go back to our jobs, to our companies, we take that spirit of empowering and nurturing potential in the women around us, or whether it's on our team or in the organization. However, for today, I was requested to talk about the concept of thinking like an owner, something that I totally believe in, and I will share what the concept means and share some of my personal experiences. And hopefully, I hope that by the time we leave this place, we have been fired up to quit thinking like employees and start thinking like owners. This is purely an ownership mindset. It's an entrepreneurial mindset. As much as you're an employee, every employer wants to have an employee that actually takes ownership of whatever they are doing. This is a mindset that sets you apart and will grant you a competitive edge in your career space. And I'm talking from experience, and I'll share some of the experiences I've had. What does it really mean when you talk about thinking like an owner? It's about approaching your work with a mindset of someone who has a vested interest in the success of the overall organization. Actively seeking ways to improve operations, thinking ways to improve a long-term success of the organization. You start to think and approach situations and challenges from a perspective of we, not they. You know, we all know and are familiar with people who always point fingers at they, he, she, you know, and they're always never part of the problem. But when you start thinking like an owner, you actually start taking ownership, you start taking responsibility, you start being accountable. And I'll share some of the key aspects. And I want to believe that as I share, you actually assess yourself and ask yourself, be very honest with yourself. and try to assess where do you actually sit. Are you in the bracket of people who generally are thinking like employees, or are you in the bracket of people who generally are thinking like owners? If you think like an owner, I can guarantee you, you will see growth, you will see acceleration in your career, because we all love people on our teams. We love to work with people who actually take total ownership, total accountability of their work. Some of the key aspects of people who think like owners, they're proactive. These are individuals that will proactively spot opportunities, and they will suggest improvements within processes without having to be prompted by the boss, by the line manager. They also take initiative. So they don't wait to be given instructions. Instead, they actually go out of their way to look for opportunities to improve their spaces and whatever it is that actually affects the entire organization. The third aspect of individuals that think like owners is that they actually consider the big picture. Decisions are made that benefit the entire organization, not just your immediate task. While the employee will probably be thinking of just my space, my task, individuals that have an ownership mindset will think about the big picture. How does this affect the entire organization? How does this affect the organization in the long term? And they're in that space of where does this look like 20 years from today? Probably I would be long gone, but it doesn't matter. You think about the bigger picture and the long-term view of the organization. The other aspect is about accountability, which I'm very passionate about. Are you accountable for yourself and for your actions, but also for your teams? And this is one of the things that usually people struggle with. There's a lot of blame game in organizations that have very wrong culture. If you're still in an organization where something happens and you're pointing fingers, then there is a problem, and you need to change that. You need to change the culture, both for yourself, but probably for the organization as well. Because as a leader, as an ownership mindset personality, whatever happens, you learn to take responsibility for your mistakes, for your successes, and for your results. The fifth aspect of people that think like owners is customer focus. We all talk about customer centricity. I've heard most of us are in sales, we are in pharmaceutical, but really more in sales. And customer centricity is not about the salespeople as much as we are in sales. It's about every individual. Every organization has to be customer centric, has to be obsessed about the needs of the customer. And you will find that people that really have an ownership mindset will not go to sleep when there's an issue with a customer. They sleep and think customer experience. How do we make the experience better today and tomorrow for the customer and for the greater good of the organization? So there's a high sense of customer focus, customer centricity, improving experiences, prioritizing customer satisfaction, and of course, generally building a positive relationship with a customer. The other aspect I would definitely talk about, and this is a very common aspect, especially now post-COVID, a lot of companies have really gotten into productivity across the organization, regardless of function. Everybody is into productivity initiatives. People that think like owners are very cost conscious. Every resource matters. Be it people, how do you improve productivity in people? Be it the actual money, how are we spending our money? Be it time, are we actually optimizing our resources? That is a mind of an owner. You don't see wastage and look away and think it doesn't matter. This is their company. For as long as you're part of that company, you need to be behaving like you actually own it. And that sets you apart from everybody else. Okay? Some of the key traits, and some of these traits, if you've taken time to understand the growth mindset, the traits of people that think like owners is actually very close to those of a person that has a growth mindset. People that think like owners are constantly questioning, how can we make it better? How can we grow? How can we get greater sales? How can we improve the customer experience? There's always, you're always asking yourself and questioning the status quo. How do we actually move from where we are at the next level? The second aspect and trait of a person that thinks like owner is about learning, constantly learning, because you actually then realize that what you know is not enough. You have to always be learning, challenging yourself to know better, to understand the systems, to understand the processes, to understand the customers, to understand everything around you. You just become a student, and it is okay. You become more versatile, because suddenly it's not about your space, it's about the entire organization. So if you're going to add value to production, you have to learn their processes. If you're going to add value to logistics, if you're going to add value, whatever the functions are within the pharmaceutical spaces, you need to be able to open your space to learning every day. And we learn every day. I always thought that after studying, after getting jobs, after getting the C-suites, you're done. But actually notice that you actually start afresh. You're always constantly learning, and you have to get into a space of making yourself better every single day if you're going to be competitive. The third trait is curiosity. Curiosity breeds innovation, breeds new ideas. So you have to be the kind of person that is just curious. How do we make things better? Because you think about the organization, you think about the long term, you think about the big picture. So curiosity helps you to actually unearth these opportunities. Fourth area is around challenging the status quo. I've already talked about this in the earlier aspect. How do you actually change the status quo? If we're the people that don't like change, we like things the same way they were yesterday and forever shall be, then you will never grow. You need to constantly challenge yourself to get better. And that means that you really have to be questioning and challenging the status quo. You have to be comfortable being uncomfortable. Uncertainties do, and I noticed you have a keynote speaker, a guest speaker that is going to talk about resilience. We have to build resilience. We have to be very comfortable in situations that are very uncomfortable. And that will give us a lot of leeway to actually continue to thrive, even amid these uncertainties, and continue to take that ownership mindset, regardless of what's going on. How can I make it better? Finally, if I look at the traits, we need to stop. You have to stop admiring a problem and get into the mindset of solving it. If you see a situation, if you see a problem at work, please fix it. Whether it is in your space as a salesperson, whether it is in logistics, whether it's in whatever the department, human resource, take responsibility of having that problem solved and fixed, and stop admiring problems. Sometimes you have a problem and then you look at it, you talk about it 1 year, 2 years, you're still talking about the same problem. That is not the mindset of an owner. If I just unpack a bit of contrast between ownership and employee mindset, thinking like an owner and what it looks like when you think like an employee. For instance, when it comes to mindsets and responsibilities, an owner will always think beyond the task at hand. They'll take full responsibility of their successes, their future, and they'll think long-term, big picture. While the employee, all that really matters is the current assignment and the current task. As long as I get my job done for the day, for the month, for the week, I am done. That's it. That is an employee mindset. When it comes to areas of decision making, an ownership mindset will always make decisions based on the long-term impact. So for instance, I may actually be sure I'm going to be in a role for just a year or 2 years. But whatever decision I make, I am thinking of what will happen 20 years from today. I may be long gone, but I am thinking about the organization and what impact this decision is going to make on this organization in terms of, considering cost, return on investment, and generally, is it aligned to the vision of the organization? An employee will probably just think about, how do I get my results for today, for the year? That's it. And we have people like that, and there are many. It doesn't matter what's going to happen in 5 years. They will probably be not there anyway. They've already decided, I just need to achieve my next 1 year, my next 2 years. And it's not sustainable. Owners, when it comes to proactiveness, the ownership mindset will always spot opportunities early and identify how to tap into those opportunities, while the employee mindset, all that they're going to do is actually wait for an instruction. If the boss doesn't tell you what to do, it's okay. You can just go about your day the way you usually do it. No proactiveness, nothing. No ownership, no responsibility. When it comes to risks and rewards, you will find that people who have an ownership mindset are very, very willing to take calculated risks. And we know that out of calculated risks, we actually get rewards. We can create growth, we can create profitability and long-term success. An employee doesn't really care. They will be risk averse. They would want to play it safe. All that matters is at the end of the month, they have a salary. That's it. And they're comfortable, just go by. But you will not grow. When I'm looking for somebody to promote, probably I'll be going for somebody who I see is proactive, is risk takes risks, wants to grow, is hungry, and is going for more. When it comes to areas around resource management, again, an ownership mindset will never rest when they're seeing wastage, because that wastage affects the bottom line. Bottom line affects most of us in sales thrive on bonuses, you know. So if the bottom line doesn't come through, then the bonus won't come anyway. So you need to be able to deliver the shareholders benefit for it to also benefit. And that's what the owner mindset is going to be thinking about. How do we ensure that the entire organization is actually benefiting? Why an employee may not even bother. They don't care, you know. They're going to focus probably on what is within their control, and that's it. So if I see my peer in another function wasting, it's not my business. That is an employee. That's an employee things. However, if you're thinking like an owner, if you're perfecting your resource optimization in sales, you will want to see the same happening in manufacturing. You want to see the same happening in logistics, because ultimately we have the same goal. It is the bottom line. It's the top line, and it's the cost management, and we have to all be involved. I'll give a quick example, and prompt me if I'm on time. I thought I would time myself, and I didn't. Just a quick example in terms of how the two mindsets play. I will use a common one. For instance, you find that if you have an ownership mindset and there's a situation of high employee turnover, the individual that is experiencing the turnover, assuming you're a sales director, you know what you're going to do? You actually are going to handle the situation. You're going to try and understand what's the root cause. How do I employ retention programs to ensure that my team doesn't, leave the organization? You definitely take ownership of the situation. You might want HR to come in and support you, but you own it. You start working on the culture. An employee will have issues with employee turnover on their team sometimes, if it's a sales director, for instance, and they'll just tell you that is an HR issue. HR needs to come and fix it. I don't know if that sounds common or it's really, I'm speaking some gibberish type of language. But that is what happens when you have an employee mindset. You're going to see everything from a lens of someone else's problem, not your problem. And that is a very dangerous place to be, because then you really won't have impact. Okay. So if I really conclude just the contrast, thinking like an owner means thinking strategically, taking ownership of problems and solutions, and being proactive, always looking for the big picture. At this point, I want to challenge everybody to really just ask yourself, between the two, where do I sit? On a scale of 1 to 10, where do I actually rate? Because we can always get better, we can always improve. If I bring it home, just sharing, because I was asked to share a personal story, because that's when it makes a lot of sense to bring it, to my personal experience and how I got where I am. Hopefully, it will benefit someone else. First, I really just want to share my leadership principles that have helped me to excel and to be where I am in my career. I believe I still need to go further, and I'm still pursuing my dreams. But I believe in my accountability being much higher than any human being. That is my leadership principle. My accountability is with God. And the day I realized that the word of God tells us in Colossians 3:23 that whatever we do, we work at it with your whole being as if unto the Lord, not man. And truthfully, sometimes you really are giving your very best, and you have this boss who maybe doesn't even deserve it. And it's easy to feel like, what the heck, it doesn't matter. I can just give a bit and move on. But when your accountability is personal, then you know that whatever you're doing, you give it your very best, and excellence should be your driver. Purpose to be excellent. Purpose to leave a legacy. My second principle is my legacy is very important to me. So from the very day I join an organization, I ask myself, what is my long-lasting impact on this organization? For as long as I'm here, when I leave, what am I going to leave? As far as impact on the organization, as far as impact on the people. I love and really am passionate about unleashing potential. So if I have a team, I want to see everyone on my team become better. Not just the women, but everybody on my team. And if there's a woman even better, because I know that the barriers are unlimited. So what are we doing to the people that we have on our teams? Habit number 2, if you look at the 7 habits of highly effective leaders, talks about that beginning with the end in mind. I like to actually start with the end in mind. What am I going to leave? What kind of legacy am I going to leave when I leave this organization? And that has helped me to always focus on the bigger picture, focus on me and my dream to live excellence wherever I go. One of the, I think, moments in life that I believe really helped me to demonstrate the ownership mindset was way back in 2006. At the time, I was about 5 years in my career, still young, ambitious, hungry, and I was working with BAT, a global organization. Probably most of us would know it. Yeah, those of you talk about drugs. I was selling cigarettes, and yeah, I used to have people asking me, "How do you go to work to sell cigarettes?" But anyway, that was my first career opportunity. And I remember in 2006, we were actually told we're going to close all the offices across all the countries except the big hubs. So we're going to create hubs in Kenya, Nigeria, of course, will always be a hub for East Africa, Egypt, and South Africa. And for 6 months, we're just waiting to be closed, to be rendered redundant, to be given our packages. And trust me, the environment was toxic. It was tough. People resigned mentally. They actually resigned. But because I have purpose that I will give my very best until the last day, I knew I was going to go home, probably get another job. I wasn't really too worried. I thought I was young and I could get a job very easily. But I kept giving my very best. Every single day I showed up. And I worked like I had my job was guaranteed, you know. And I remember thinking through and I said, I am a brand executive in Uganda. There are multiple executives in Kenya. There are many in Ethiopia. There are many in many other countries. There's no way I have a chance. So, but for as long as I have this job, keep giving your very best. Guess what? 6 months down the road, when everybody was being given an to go back home, I was actually given an opportunity to go and head the new team in Kenya. And at that moment, it didn't make sense to me. But when I thought about it, when I reflect, for me, that was a turning point because I could have resigned like everybody else. I could have decided, you know what? Doesn't matter. Why should I wake up so early, show up and do my job? We are going to go home anyway. But there's always somebody watching. So do it for yourself. And as you excel every single day of your life, opportunities will open up. So for me, that was a moment where I thought, yes, never resign. I always tell people, even when you have resigned from one job to another, that 13 days notice, make it the best ever you've ever given to the organization. Always show up and behave like this organization belongs to you, even when you know you're leaving the organization. The second and my last example, where I think for me, an ownership mindset calls for you to go beyond your comfort zone. You need to be versatile. Because if you're going to own the organization and think about the entire organization, then you can't just stay in your box of sales. You can't stay in your box of marketing and commercial. Ownership mindset opens your mind to a world of possibilities. So once I talked about HR, I've always known myself to be a salesperson, a sales expert, a marketing expert, anything commercial. But guess what? Because of sometimes just stretching yourself beyond your spaces, an opportunity came up in 2019. And my line manager asked me, the HRD has left. Can you act as a human resource director? I have no certificate. I have absolutely no qualification in HR. And I thought, wow, what a challenge at hand. But I believed one thing, that if you have people who are good as a leader, your work is to unleash potential. So you can actually lead any team, regardless of whether you know. And that's why I'm talking about learning, because you have to always be open to learn. And I remember moving into HR, we had a huge gap on culture issues, and we launched one of the best and most successful culture campaign around the values of ownership, around the values of accountability and integrity. We actually called it CIA, customer centricity, accountability and integrity. And it was all coined about thinking and acting like an owner. From that culture campaign, we actually saw people completely transform their thinking, their work ethics, and we started getting people that are advocating for ownership. If it has to be, it is up to me. We saw people believing now that, you know what, I cannot see somebody stealing and I keep quiet because it's affecting me at the end of the day. If we exceed as an organization, I will benefit. So people started thinking beyond their spaces and started thinking about the organization. What is the big goal for the organization and how do we achieve it? Because once we achieve it, deliver the shareholder value, we also benefit from that. So it is possible that you can nurture an ownership mindset in yourself and in your team and in your organization. I beg to leave it here, and I implore all of us to start nurturing that ownership. If you're there, please just keep going. It will definitely pay off. Thank you so much.
Learning. Flavia, confirm you can hear me.
Yes.
Can you hear me? Okay. Thank
Very clear.
you so much for this insightful learning on driving organizational transformation from within. So it starts from us as individuals before we can even pass it to someone else. I had some very few key learnings, constantly questioning ourselves. We should be proactive from what you said. We should be curious because curiosity breeds opportunities. We should challenge ourselves. We should stop admiring the problem. I love that. Stop admiring the problem and solve it. Be proactive, think like the owner, be customer centric. Thank you very much for everyone, all the attendees online. Flavia took us on the topic driving organizational transformation from within. You think and act like an owner and a business owner. So moving forward, Flavia, thank you for that. Of course, with this kind of very huge learning from for everyone, we have questions for you. And so far we have, let me check the chat box. We have 2 questions. One is from me, actually, and the other is from Alinza. So let me read them out. The first one says, hi, Flavia. A situation where you think like an owner, driving organizational transformation, trying to drive a positive culture, and it leads to employee retention issues. How do you create a balance as a business leader? And maybe it feels, can you hear me? Hi, Flavia.
Yes, I can. I can hear you.
So how do you create a balance? Or do you mind, okay, as far as you're driving a very positive culture, if they all want to go, if attrition wants to be 100%, it can be 100%. How do we create a balance to still retain employees while we also drive that culture campaign?
Okay, so the balance is about retention as you drive change. I think to be fair is, I was wondering whether to talk about a balance in your life with work or a balance between the change management and retention.
Yeah.
That's what you want, right?
The second,
Okay.
yeah, the balance between change management. Yeah.
Okay, so I think if I may share the thing that change is painful, but it's inevitable.
Yeah.
Change is
Yeah.
painful, but it is inevitable. And when you start driving a transformational change, you need to be ready that some people just won't go along with you. And it's fine. Sounds a bit harsh, but it's actually fine because not everybody is ready for the change. And that's why it's very important that you have a very clear change management plan. You need to inspect some of the barriers. You need to do the hard work of communication, intensely communicate. You need to try to move people along. We need to get change agents. I remember, for instance, when we were working on the culture transformation, we actually had to get change agents in every function.
Change agents.
You need to get those agents that people believe in, people love, people kind of want to follow, and identify them. Let them speak for the transformation. Let them speak for the good things, and you're going to find that majority of the people are going to adapt, and also show them why. The reason people reject change is because they don't understand the why. You need to amplify the why the change, and make it beneficial to them, because really usually change is beneficial to the employees, or the individuals you're trying to do it for. It's not easy, to be honest. 1-2 people might decide, I just don't want to be part of this, and you need to be ready for that as well. So I think what matters is have a thorough change management plan, have thorough communication plan, have change agents, think through everything that you need to do to retain as many as you can. But also, if 1 or 2 decide they're not going to move with you, they are getting off the bus, it is also fine. And you have to accept that.
Thank you so much. Yeah, thank you so much. I know our time is up before the next speaker comes. The last question, the second and the last question. Thank thank you for this amazing segment. My question is, how do you balance between hurting yourself or trying to control what is? How do you balance being proactive with overexerting yourself or trying to control what is outside your scope?
I know. That's a very
Because,
good
we're
question.
thinking like business owners. Yeah.
Yes,
So
yes.
how do we
That's
create
a
that
very good
balance?
question. And I mean, this is a reality where you have built your mindset to be proactive and almost you're nosy. You're nosy. You're thinking about other people's spaces
Yeah.
and trying to show them how things happen. And sometimes we find ourselves in environments or cultures that are not ready for that kind of behavior. And to be honest, I think
Yeah.
it's important to understand our environment, but also we shouldn't settle in an environment that is not working. I believe that you may start with baby steps, but always find ways of engaging, especially if, for instance, I find that the issue I'm trying to deal with is not in my space. It's in my peer's space. For instance, I'm a sales director. Now I must speak like a
Okay.
salesperson. And the issue I'm actually dealing with is logistics. We work very closely with logistics and stuff. How do you build that connection with the logistics director, for instance, to help them understand that, what, this issue is affecting me, it's affecting the organization. If you improve it, we all have a better. So it comes back to how you communicate, how you engage, so that you're not just being proactive and imposing yourself. We're seen as people who are just imposing ourselves, but I want to be proactive and I want to sell my idea. The good thing we are salespeople, we need to find ways of selling this proposition to whoever it is, whether it's a colleague, a peer, or a team member. So yes, there's always that clash that comes in. But one thing I have learned is that many times they may actually see you as probably being pushy, but they appreciate. Once the impact comes through, once the benefits come through, they start coming to you for more ideas. So you need to find a way of engaging, find a way of selling the benefits of your idea of being proactive and show them the benefits. Ultimately, it's all about what is in it for me. Everyone wants to know what is in it for them. So really just finding ways of selling that benefit so that over time they start to trust you and you can really, and if you're in a leadership position, it's an issue of the culture. Create a culture where people can freely express themselves, freely ask questions, freely bring up ideas. I'm sure we are all in spaces where we are leading somewhat, whether it's a team or a function. So let's create an environment where people can actually proactively look at the entire organization, not just our own spaces. Thank you.
Thank you so much for this very impactful time with each and every one of us. We have how many people on the call who have learned from this, your wealth of knowledge. Really appreciate you, and we hope to have you again and again and again on this platform. Thank you so much. We really appreciate. So next speaker, and I hope you stay with us to the end. So
I'm still here so I can respond in the chat box. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. So I'll be beckoning on my colleague Jennifer to take the second speaker for the day. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Sylvia. Okay, next up we have Anju Hawoldar. She's a global expert in hospitality and distribution who understands what it takes to navigate and thrive in a constantly evolving market. Now, she's also the head of international business at Mayent's Gourmet Services and Lucky Joker Gaming QSR. And today she'll be speaking on embracing change and resilience. Because let's be real, change is the only constant. Whether in business or personal growth, our ability to pivot and adapt is what actually keeps us moving forward. Now, before we welcome Anju, let's test our resilience with a quick check. They say women are naturally resilient, but let's be real. If you have ever worked in maybe sales, you have mastered the art of bouncing back after hearing no 100,000 times. Please let us welcome Anju Hawoldar. And while we enjoy her session, if you have any questions, please remember to drop it in the chat box and we'll take the questions after the session. Welcome, Anju.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this special occasion. It's an absolute honor to be here with you all today. And as we celebrate the International Women's Day, I want to take a moment to recognize the incredible achievement of women around the world and the progress we continue to strive together. We've come a long way. There's still a long way to go, but I think the good thing that we're doing is being consistent. My name is Anju Hawoldar. Many people know me as Anju. I am passionate about helping women unlock their full potential and empower them to lead with confidence, resilience, and creativity. And I think by fostering a supportive community, we can inspire each other to overcome challenges and embrace opportunities for growth and change. I'm also a proud mother of two beautiful children, and both of them have chosen the legal profession. My son is a lawyer, and my daughter is also following the same path. So today I'll be discussing embracing change and resilience. And in our fast-paced world, the ability to adapt now is more crucial more than ever. Our careers often present us with unexpected challenges, but it is how we respond to those changes that makes the whole difference. And I think COVID, Flavia also mentioned that. COVID was a classic, a clear example of how we've had to adapt to this out of the blue, not expecting it to happen, and yet it happened to not only a particular section, but the whole world, and everybody just adapted. So it is very essential to remember that the journey is not about avoiding challenges. Challenges will always be there, but it is essential to understand how we decide to face them. That is key. And what I'd like to do today is just go very humble, simple, and share with you my journey as a woman. I'm 48 years old today. I feel that I've already lived, three-quarters of my life. And I've just got that little bit more to go. We've all come naked on this world, and we'll certainly leave naked as well. And probably at this stage of your life, also, you go to the deeper questions of life. So if you allow me, I will just take you back to my childhood, through the teenage and as a woman. And I think in itself, the story, I hope, it inspires all of you, because we were not taught at school on how to live life. And there's no book whatsoever that can teach you also how to navigate. There's no book that even tells you how to be a good mother. You have to learn it by yourself, right? So I went to a Catholic school. My mother's from India. I grew up in Mauritius. I'm the middle child. And I think subconsciously, when I was growing up, there was already a lot of pressure in the sense that, oh, she's just a girl, and I could feel as growing up, the boys, even to hear my father say, oh, that's my son, you could already, it's not said to you, but you feel that, okay, the man is already kind of superior. And as a child, I've never wanted to be a burden to anyone. And I don't know if you can relate to that. I grew up in a very traditional home, simple values. I was lucky, and I say it today again, I was lucky to know what the extended family was, because we've lost those values today, unfortunately. And being part of an extended family, I think, has been very nurturing as well, as challenging, certainly, but nurturing as well. And at 20, my mother said, okay, we found a boy, he's 15 years older to you, and we want you to get married. I didn't second think about it, because for me is, okay, I'm a big girl now and I don't want to be a burden. So, okay. So straight from school, Catholic upbringing, I was a bit of a brat as well. We did party and we did all the nonsense of skipping class and all that. And then suddenly overnight, I found myself now again married to a man who's 15 years older to me. And I had to live staying with my mother-in-law. It's like very traditional home. So from mini skirts and leather pants, I was again now thrown back suddenly to very traditional wear and very conservative family, and where the man is the king and he's the, he's the light of the house, and a woman must just like obey. And I soon became a mother. So I was not given any clue on how to run a home, how to be a good daughter-in-law, not even a wife, especially if it's arranged marriage. We've not even discussed even about marriage. So I had to just learn. Thank God, I think I've always kept a very open mind to, what is your duty and how you need to adapt. And my responsibility was, now that I'm married, there was no even second thought of walking out of it. I had to make it work. So I taught myself how to be a good cook, how to be a good wife, how to be a good daughter-in-law, although that was very challenging. My mother-in-law is a Hitler in herself, a very difficult woman to please. God bless her soul. I'm not being naughty. I'm just, saying it, giving you the real facts. And after a couple of years, we started the business, and I was running a couple of restaurants. And the pressure was huge because there was a lot of expectation where I had to fulfill all my duties of being the good wife and the good mother. And I had the also responsibility of running the restaurant. It was tough. It was hard work. It was everything but glamour. People can say, wow, she's a restaurant owner. Yes, well, there's no glam about it. It's the reality is that you have to put in a lot of hard work. And eventually, after 20 years of life, I chose to separate from my husband. He's a beautiful man, but I think we evolve as people, and my peace was more important than anything else. It has no price for it. So at the age of 40, I started from scratch again, ground zero, from scratch. I left everything and I said, okay. And I was always in search of, trying to find something deep down, even though I've spent years in an environment where I was taken for granted and never good enough. But there was still that little light that said, Anju, you can do it. And I've never given up on that. So when I moved out, now the other challenge was like, now how do you spend 20 years of your life and you want to secure the children also? How do you minimize the damage? So I chose, again, let's keep a good relationship, because we've had good years. You won't throw, the whole relationship and make it become ugly. So again, it was working on you, working on yourself again. And it's not looking at outside or why me or why this or why that. No, okay, this has happened. Now, how do we tackle it? Let me look inside. So then I chose to, okay, let's, make peace. Even in separate homes, we have to think of the welfare of the children. And I started the seafood business. Now, I knew nothing about, I don't even like seafood. I knew nothing about the seafood business. All I knew was I need to do a business. I need to get money. I need to work. So that's what I did. And Mauritius is a very small island, and my ex-husband is a very famous lawyer. So now the next thing that happens, people are saying, oh my God, do you know Hawoldar's wife is selling fish? And I was like, yeah, okay, so what? Even if I'm selling fish, it's fresh Scottish salmon from Scotland. Can anybody else do it? No. Can you even afford to buy the salmon? Because it's not a cheap product. Can you even afford to buy it? Fine. So whether or not I'm selling fish, it doesn't matter, because I'm not cheating anyone. I'm not lying to anyone. I'm just doing a job. So again, it was being found in a situation where you're alone and vulnerable. And it's challenging because you feel like the whole world is against you. And even though you're doing something in an honest way, it still is very difficult to please people. But I was not there to look for any validation. And I think this is also one mistake that many of us do sometimes is, well, it just happens. It's not a mistake. I've seen many powerful women who are at the top level of organizations, but they doubt themselves. They doubt themselves, they're scared, they have this fear. And we share, we talk, so I try to pull them out of it. So it's a very natural process. The mind is always more on the, the mind is not the soul. The mind is somebody that has gone through different experiences and therefore reacting to those experiences. So yeah, so then I got on with my job, and after 5 years, it was a success. And despite it was during COVID, it was a success, but I sold the business simply because here for SMEs, the big hotels, the 5-star hotels, they pay you only after 4 months. So it was a lot of hard work. It was taking on a lot of stress. To be paid after 4 months was, for me, difficult to manage. I'm not lazy. I want to work, but at the end of the day, you want to see the money, right, in your bank. You don't just want the name and the fame and making everybody happy. So I sold the business, but those 5 years have taught me now many, many, many lessons. And again, like from owner to a restaurant to having being an owner of a seafood distribution, people say, wow. And Flavia was talking about ownership. Oh God. Well, there's no, you can be working 24/7, even though you're your own boss, but there's a lot more work that you need to do behind, because you have to control everything from the importation to the marketing, to the delivery, to the accounts, everything, the whole thing you need to manage. And I think the less glam part of it was what people didn't know is that I've had days where clients had ordered their salmon and they're waiting for it for their dinner and the shipment was late. So then you have to explain to those clients, ma'am, this is not within my, control, and things happen. So you need to take sometimes, sorry for the word, shitty commands. It's okay, because that's, part of your job. Or I think the most interesting now, when I look back, I laugh at it, is I've had clients here and my staff doesn't show up. So when my staff doesn't show up, I have whole salmon, 5 kilos in front of me. And the client says, yeah, I want that fillet. And I'm like, okay, Anju, better than you learn. Take a knife and learn how to clean the fish and cut the fillet. Because at the end of the day, you are the owner of the company, but you also have to give a service, right? Because I was doing both wholesale and retail. So this was a beautiful journey. It was tough. It was everything but what people expect to be as an owner, as your own big boss. It was not that. A lot of hard work, beautiful learning curve. And I was so mentally exhausted after those 5 years that I took a 2-year gap. And in this 2-year gap, it was a lot of healing now. And I don't have huge qualification. I've got a diploma in hospitality management, and I've got a diploma in mindfulness. But when I sold the business, I said, okay, let me learn. And this is how I went into life coaching and energy healing with mindfulness, because I wanted to learn more out of life. And I wanted to be a pillar for people around me, my loved ones, my children, my family and friends. So I took that time just to reflect. And of course, in that time, you have a lot of frustration and a lot of question that comes up, in your mind saying, oh, you're useless, you're not doing anything, you fail, you've not been able to achieve. And the mind can be a devil, not can be, is a devil's workshop. So it's again addressing that and correcting it and saying no. And true to tell, I've had moments where, as a woman, you wake up some days and you don't feel very pretty because whatever, you didn't sleep well and your hair is not good and whatever, and you still have to go to that dinner. But the attitude is, it's okay. If I have no choice and I have to do it, then let me do it. Then let me not ask questions which will make it more difficult for me, but let me just walk forward. So here I am today, part of Rotary, part of Empower as NGO. I'm busy networking. I've taken a step back, but I've learned new things. But today, I've gone back into the food business. Mintis is a supplier of meat. I'm also into the textile business, and I'm also into real estate. And the funny thing here, also what happens here in Mauritius is that, and honestly, sometimes I question how women can be nasty to each other. Women are supposed to empower each other. And women tell me, oh God, Anju, why is it that you're always so, happy, smiling? And I'm like, is that even a question? Because I work on myself. It's not that I'm perfect. I'm far from being, the perfect person on earth, but I've learned through my mistakes. And success today is not about the money or the name and the fame that you have. Success is how many times did you get up, woman? How many times did you fall? And how many times you had to put that hand in that mud and say, I'm not giving up. I'm getting up again. And whatever it is, even I don't know what's ahead, but I'm getting up again and I'm not going to give up and I'm going to walk that talk. So this is what resilience is. Change is always going to happen. And please, I want it to be more interactive. If you all have any questions, I hope you can relate to what I'm sharing with you here. Please come forward with your questions. Another example would be, now we have, 33 participants. Now I imagine all the hard work that all these beautiful girls have been doing. We put on LinkedIn, we're sharing. So there's a lot of time and effort that's gone into it, right? You've taken time to create the artwork, to reach out to the speakers and all. And then you're like, only 33 participants. We could have had 50 or 100. Yes, it could, but it doesn't matter because you've been able to get a certain amount of people here present, those who want to really learn and change. So we can't change the whole thing. We can't change the whole world. So whatever little effort or drop we can bring to that ocean, great. So Flavia and Dr. Monica also had mentioned a few points about having the right mindset and growth mindset. So all these things, I don't want to give you details because honestly, with all the technology we have today, whether it's YouTube, all the social media platform, TikTok, there is so much out there for free. You can educate yourself. One day, if you're feeling bad, type, I'm feeling bad, I'm feeling low. There will be one, not even one, there will be a few videos that will come to empower you. And this is how I did it as well, because I was alone. I didn't have mentors around me then. And remember, when you're at the lowest point in your life, you're alone. Nobody's going to walk with you. When you're powerful, then everybody wants to walk with you. But when you're alone, no, you won't find anyone. So you have only you to be responsible for your actions. So you need to take that time to empower yourself. And one big question is, okay, I've adapted to changes. Now, put it in a question yourself, say, for this year, if there's something I want to change, what would that be? Okay. And what is preventing me to reach that? So that can be a little bit of homework for you all to work on. Otherwise, I would gladly, if you send me some questions, I can gladly help you out. So to go back and summarize, change will always be there. Resilience is about how you address the issue and how much inner strength you cultivate to get up and not give up. And it doesn't matter about the pace. It's challenging now, okay? Things are changing really rapidly and there's a lot of expectation. Don't worry about bringing in quick results. Just be consistent. Keep walking, be steady, be consistent, and of course, love yourself. Go out with your friends, laugh. Life is to be taken with a little pinch of salt. It's not just about work and making money. you all need to enjoy your life also. You need to love yourself. Get up in the morning, look at yourself in the river, in the mirror, and say, I love me. I love me. I'm a beautiful woman. I love me. These are simple things sometimes I say, and I see women responding to me and saying, yeah, we don't do it. I don't do it. I've never looked at myself in the mirror and said, I love myself. So even now, as we're talking 2025, I think with all the conditioning that we've had as women from our childhood to now, all the expectation thrown on us, if we're all here today, it means we've survived it. And if we've survived it, it means we're fighters. And then whatever comes ahead also, we're going to go through it. So my wish for you all is to keep on learning, keep on educating yourself, because we can never, ever stop. Take life with a little pinch of salt, laugh, listen to music. And oh God, thank you, Nigeria and Africa. My God, I think you've made my evenings way more interesting with your Afrobeats. I'm a big fan of Afrobeats, and it's beautiful to see how through music, Africa has been able to connect people literally around the world and get everybody to dance. So that's wonderful. I hope I can visit Nigeria soon. And I'm ready. Jennifer, if anybody has a question, I'm ready to take on the questions.
Thank you so much, Anju. I definitely love the call to action that tells us to get up, stand in front of a mirror and say, I love myself. I would say to myself, I love Jennifer. And it's something that seems small, but it's also very powerful. So I challenge everyone, get up in the morning and say, I love myself to yourself, and you'll see how much nicer your day goes. Thank you so much. This definitely seemed like a masterclass. I'm not just surviving change, but also how to own it. If resilience, there was like a blueprint for resilience, you have provided for us the entire schematic. And I love all the powerful insights that you shared during your speech on adapting, thriving, and embracing uncertainty with confidence, which is something that every woman in this room can take and apply immediately. Thank you so much. So let's keep the conversation going with the question and answer. I'm just going to look in the chat box and see if we have any questions. Otherwise, I do have one question that I would like to ask. And I think you mentioned something, or the previous speaker, this is something I personally struggle with, and I speak for myself. I don't know if anybody else experiences it. Many women struggle with imposter syndrome, especially when we're facing change. So what would be your advice to pushing through whenever we have self-doubt, or when we're if we want to step confidently into new opportunities?
See, again, the imposter syndrome is again the conditioning of the mind. It's because you're stepping into something new that the mind doesn't know as an experience, so it shuts it down. We need to have the growth mindset and to be open to changes. If it is something that you want to do, then focus on it and move on. Look at Trump, President Trump. He doesn't give a care. I'm not going to debate on whatever he's doing is right or wrong. He's decided he wants to do something. He is doing it. Whether you are happy or unhappy, I don't care, but I'm doing it. So to look at yourself, it's very important, because I see it time and again in beautiful women and powerful, educated, strong women who have this lack of self-confidence. And I think it also goes back to the time when we were growing as children, that somewhere subconsciously we felt that we're never good enough, so that's why we seek for validation. That's why we're running after designer bags or great cars, because this will feed our ego. This is going to make us feel better. But we don't need all that. What you need is to change that mind and say, no, just change the process. The thinking process has to be different. That I don't know where I'm going. I don't know what the future is going to be, but past is something which is gone. I can't do anything about it. So I have only today, and I have only today and the present moment. So what am I going to do today in this moment? I'm going to just go ahead and do what I believe is right. That's it. That's it.
Thank you so much. This has been such an incredible conversation. And thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. I hope everyone is having fun. Remember, we mentioned WIFPSA is a network, and if you'd like to stay connected, there's a Google form in the chat box. You can fill it out and let us know that you're interested in joining the community. Otherwise, you can drop your LinkedIn contact in the chat box so we can all stay connected. So we're moving on to the next speaker, and I will be calling on Sylvia to help introduce her. Over to you, Sylvia.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. Such a powerful session, and more powerful women are going to also address and give us more powerful insights for this session. So our third speaker for the day our third guest speaker will be Sarah Idrisi. Sarah Idrisi is a business leader and a diversity advocate. I love that. And she is a supply chain director with global experience leading high performance teams and driving business impact. She's passionate about diversity, women's empowerment, and helping professionals unlock their full potential, not half, full potential. And she'll be taking us on the topic from local to global, how to position yourself for international success. Welcome on board, Sarah. Sarah, here?
Yes, hi. Hi, Sylvia. Can you hear me? Just to make sure I have no network issue.
Hi. Is Sarah here?
Yes,
Yeah,
I
can
am.
see. I can see.
Can you hear me, Sylvia? I just want to check my network. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can, loud and clear.
Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm gonna share my screen.
Thank you. Yeah, I can hear you.
Can you see my screen?
So. Thank you so much for. Good to see. I can see you now. Perfect. I can hear you.
Yes, I do. And can you see my screen?
Yes, please.
Yes,
you can
we can see your screen.
Okay. Thank you. So thank you very much for the introduction. Thank you guys for having me today. Before starting talking about my journey, I would like just to remind again and again, as you mentioned the form on the chat box, that we are part of a community, that today you guys give me the opportunity to use my voice. So I'm very grateful, and that's it's my turn to amplify other women voices, and that's in this community we do help each other, we lift each other, and we are here to support, to mentor. So this is something that is very, very close to my heart. So again, thank you. And I hope that throughout my journey, you can get inspired and then don't hesitate to ask questions. I'll be more than happy to answer at the end of my presentation. So today, the topic I would like to take you through is a global journey. So really how to lead an international career. And I will start with my story. So like Anju, I will share with you a lot of personal stories, hoping that you can picture yourself and get inspired and then get some action plans out of it. So in my early years, I started back in France in Nestlé in the demand and supply planning department, where I was the only foreigner, really the only foreigner. So I was a woman, an African woman, Arab, Muslim. So it was a lot of diversity to carry around. But now looking back, I've never seen it as a burden. I really look at it as an opportunity, because I started my career with that immigrant mentality. You know, when you feel that you have to do more, you have to prove yourself, and then even, you know, the basics, right? Just to stay in France and live there, I had to have the permit, you know, as Sylvia mentioned about, you know, her experience in Kenya. I had to get, you know, and to keep my job. It was not something that's granted. So I always felt that I had to work more than others. But again, this was an opportunity, because guess what? Every year I was actually getting promoted. That drive, you know, that hard work gave me a very strong foundation for my early years. And then in 4 years, actually, I have managed to go across all the roles of my department, the demand and supply planning department. So I was thinking, okay, what's next for me? I became a manager, but is it enough? So it was not. And then I was curious and hungry. You know, you are young and in your early years. And then I asked my management, okay, now it's time for me to go and go to another country and maybe another continent. And I know that back then people had the American dream, but for my case, coming from Africa, curiously I had an Asian dream. Yeah, to me, I wanted to go to Asia. I wanted to discover that continent, and then Singapore was the place to be. It was really a dream. Like when I look at the city, the skyscrapers. For me, Singapore was the place to be. So I went and asked, because as women, and then when we want a career, especially an international career, we need to go and ask for things. We need to create those opportunities. So I asked my management and I asked them, okay, I want to move and work in the supply chain team in Nestlé Singapore. And they were all surprised. Sarah, you are in Nestlé France. You are having a brilliant career path. And then Nestlé France is the second market, globally. Why you want to go to a tiny market in Asia? And then I just told them that this is what I want. This is my objective. And I gave myself 1 year plan. And I told them that within 1 year, if let's say I don't manage to find a position in Nestlé Singapore, so I will unfortunately have to resign and leave the company. And when you only knew one company, and the company where I started, my career, it was not an easy decision. And few months after that decision, actually, I started to think that there will be no position for me in Nestlé Singapore, and I have to draw another, option B plan, where I go there and look for a job or maybe other options. That suddenly we were all in the office, and I'm really sharing the story as it was to make you feel that sometimes you have to go after those opportunities and create them. And then we had the announcements of Nestlé acquiring the infant nutrition business from Pfizer. Pfizer, we are here as a pharmaceutical community, so I guess you all know. And then my colleagues joked and told me, Sarah, maybe they have an office in Singapore. So I Googled. Back then there was no ChatGPT. So then I found out that they don't have an office. They actually have their biggest plant in Singapore, which is not very common. Singapore is very famous for having, headquarters, head offices, but as an industry and manufacturing facilities, it was not common. But I was lucky enough, and it was one of the among actually 4 plants globally, the biggest was in Singapore. And this is how I landed the job, because few months before I told my management that I want to move to Asia, that I have a dream to work in Singapore, and this is my journey, let's say, from Europe to Asia. And there I had to manage 13 countries actually across APAC region, and it was a very fulfilling experience, and I will share more in the coming lessons I want to share with you. And then from Singapore, I moved back to Africa. And for my African experience, what I want to share with you is breaking barriers. As women, in FMCG, in pharmaceutical, and then in my own field, as I mentioned, I'm in supply chain. It's a male-dominated field, and we have again to prove ourselves more, and then to navigate in other challenges that maybe men cannot even think of. So in Africa, I want to share with you a story of working in a warehouse in Lagos. So I'm happy that to be today invited by Nigerian women, where I had to work during Black Friday. Black Friday, when I was back in Jumia in e-commerce, is the peak season. And I had a leadership role. So my role actually didn't, I was not mandatory needed in the field, in the warehouse during those days. I can be in the office and work behind the screen, but I really love challenges. I really love being hands-on and on the field. And then as a woman, I feel that, that drive even stronger, because I want to showcase and show that women can be in the field. And then even though Black Friday, if it's midnight, so I usually spend the whole night in the warehouse, but I want to be there, and I want to be on the field. I want to be in the warehouse at 4 a.m. as a woman, wearing a pink shirt and lipstick, but then showing that, women can be anything. We can be everywhere. Women can be in supply chain and in logistics. So in Africa especially, I really learned that breaking barriers as a woman, it's not easy, but it doesn't mean it's not easy. It's not for me. It's not because it's 4 a.m. and we are in Lagos, in Nigeria, in Africa, that I cannot be a woman, there in a warehouse, leading the team and being with them hands on hand. So learning, I spoke about learning, about breaking barriers, about asking for opportunities. But when you are in an international setup, something which is very, very important, and this is why it comes here in my slide in the middle, because to me is central, is cultural adaptability. And remember when I talked about, starting my career with that immigrant mentality, and then moving to Singapore with that drive and that Asian dream. And then, Singapore was a dream. And then Asia was my dream. But let me share with you and be really fully transparent that first year in Singapore was a total disaster, was a complete really disaster, and the pivot moment in my career, because I landed there. I've never been in an Asian country. I was part of, the group that needed to help the acquisition and then implement Nestle processes in a Pfizer environment. So a lot of change management topics, and everyone actually pictured me back then as the French lady. I'm very proud Moroccan and African, but they know me, given my strong French accent, as the French lady. And I've never managed during that whole year to be, accepted and then, welcomed by the team. So at the end of the project, I remember very well, because it's really like a big lesson in my whole career. My manager came to me and said, Sarah, your performance was outstanding, because we really, delivered the projects as per timeline. We succeeded all the deliverables. But he told me something that stick with me until today, is that soft skill, I would give you a 0. And he really mentioned it this way. He didn't use something else. He really told me in soft skills, it's a 0. And I still remember that day. And he was right. When I look back, actually, cultural adaptability ways, using my soft skills, to drive that change, I deserved that 0, because each time I came to a meeting and then people sometimes were late for some reason, I would say, this is not Asian time, huh? You have to come on time. Or maybe someone will want to share something during a meeting, bring up some other topic, and we say, please stick to the agenda. We have a very strict timeline. I don't want us to talk about any topic, or even sharing an idea. I will interrupt someone and say, please stop. I don't see the value add of your idea. This is not helping us solving this issue. I was very strict and very direct, and I did all the wrong things, from a human point of view, human perspective. Yet to deliver, the business objectives within timeline, but to me it was a failure, and I learned a lot. And in my next slide, I will share with you the biggest learning from that experience. So talking about, you know, the move to Singapore, if you remember, I told you I asked and then I set a timeline. I said, okay, guys, this is my dream. I want to go to work in this country. If you have a position for me, I will. I'm happy to take it. But if you're not, I'm gonna resign. I'm going to look for another opportunity. So this is being ambitious and unapologetically ambitious, and this is very, very important. You have, as mentioned by Dr. Monica in the very beginning, you have to showcase and you have to create those opportunities. And for this one, I have another story as well. So back in Jumia, when I just joined Jumia, like after 3 months, I started feeling a little bit bored, and I wanted something bigger. And then the EVP of supply chain had the project that he's presented as the most strategic project of the company. So I went and said, okay, I want to be the leader of this project. I think I have all what it takes, you know, to do that project. And this is something that we as women, we don't do. And we as African women, we sometimes we feel shy. We feel that this is not appropriate to say, I want to lead that big project. I want to be, you know, get that promotion, or I want to go for that international assignment. But especially, you know, in an international career, you have to ask, you have to showcase, you have to make yourself visible, and you have to be very clear about your, you know, objectives or going after that international assignment. So I asked that I want to lead that project, and he told me, you know, you just joined, and I have other people, you know, with their careers and their agendas, that they deserve more this position. But still, you know, after a few days, when I didn't get any feedback, I told him, I messaged him, and I say, hey, Apurva, I really want that project, and I really like wrote it as I will, you know, share it with you. I have all what it takes to lead that project. I want to lead a big project with impact. I want to have impact within Jumia. And then believe me, and if we have young women with us today, this special point, I really want to inspire you, because in my early 30s, I would have never ever wrote a message saying that I have all what it takes, saying that I want to lead, saying that I want to have impact. But today I'm 40 and I'm saying it. And as mentioned by Anju, I do love myself. And when I feel that I have all what it takes to lead a project, I will say it out and loud, and I will make it, you know, visible to my manager and tell them I want that project. So this is what I did. So when he received my message, he was in the middle of another call, and he told me, he sent the invite. I said, Sarah, just dial in. And I didn't understand why I should dial in. And this was a very animated. We can see that a lot of issues were going on and a lot of emotions during that meeting. And then he said, you know, you are here, guys, not even solving your problems. And Sarah just wrote to me a message saying that she wants to lead a big project. She wants to have an impact. And you know what? I'm going to send Sarah to Ghana from tomorrow to solve your issues and get the job done. And this is how I got my first international assignments back in Jumia. It was a 2 weeks assignment in Ghana. And it's quite funny because I asked for a project that was strategic for the company and I didn't get it. But I got my first abroad, you know, a real mission on the field in an African country within that company where I was working back then. So again, being unapologetically ambitious can only be beneficial to your career, whether it's local or international. So I will insist on this. And then if today I'm sharing, you know, my stories, because something which is very important to me is role modeling and lifting other women up. So yes, you have to keep learning to have a global journey. You have to break barriers. You have to adapt culturally, and you have to be ambitious. But also, when you are going through your career, you have to give back a bit. So this is why I'm today, and this is why sharing is very important. It has to be part of your career, but it has to be part of your development journey to lift others, to mentor young girls, each time you have that opportunity, please take it. So throughout my stories and my journey, I have some lessons learned that I want to share with you. Remember that complete disaster first year in Singapore, and how I managed to okay, I reached the business, goals, but then human wise and then team wise, I didn't succeed because I was not, leveraging empathy. Empathy was a big issue back then for me that I had to learn, and empathy is a skill. And then if you don't have it today, believe me, you must have it, especially in today ever-changing world, and then it will help you, And the second thing that's make me who I am today, that's why I mentioned that year, it was really such a pivot, is kindness. Okay, empathy is a start. You have to, actively listen. When you listen, make sure you don't listen to reply. You listen to understand what people are going through. You try to put yourself in their shoes, because even if you are used to doing business in a way, even if you are very successful in a country, in my case it was in France, it doesn't mean when you move to another country that you know everything about the way they do business, the way they understand, their cultural background. I love, a course that I took back at that time, is they say, when, from a Western culture point of view, when we say apple, from, Asian point of view, they hear pear. Just try to visualize with me. You say apple, they hear pear. It doesn't mean that your project is not advancing because someone is doing something wrong, or they don't want to do the job. It's just the communication is not flowing. You have to proactively, actively listen. You have to be empathic, and then you have to be kind. I believe in kindness, of creating really like genuine connection that will help even in business. Kindness is not only for personal, kindness is not only for friends and family. When we are kind to our colleagues, when we are kind to our teams and showing genuine care, even business actually will be in a better shape. So when I mentioned actually few stories about my international journey, courage, you can see, is very, very important. You have to be brave to go to a country that you have never visited. You have to be brave to say, okay, I can make my dreams come true. You have to be brave to spend that night in the warehouse in Lagos, coming from Casablanca. You have to be brave when you have your young kids, and you are navigating an international career. When I was in Asia, I was pregnant and I had 13 countries, so I have to travel. And a lot of time people would tell me, why, Sarah, you are pregnant, why you are traveling? No, actually I can be pregnant, I can have young kids and breastfeed. I still remember times where I pump my milk in airports, and then you can do all this. And then we have that strength, as women with us. Don't expect, the society to put you in boxes and tell you, no, you are pregnant, you can do this. You have young kids, you can travel. You breastfeed, you can't skip breastfeeding, while having a global role. Believe me, you can do it all. And then you have that strength within you, and then courage will help you achieve all this. But once you have courage, for example, moving to Singapore, okay, you made that dream come true, but challenges are there. So are you the one who will give up, or are you the one who will face challenges and then bounce back, as mentioned by Anju during her talk about resilience? And I can relate to many things. I'm myself a single mother of two, and then going through personal challenges as well as business. Starting from scratch is very important, especially in today's world where change is the only constant. So resilience is very, very important. Now that I shared my stories, and then the skills that's helped me navigate throughout different cultural setups, I want to share with you, if tomorrow you want to start an international career, what would be the action plan that will help you? And to me, the very first step is first having that mindset, having that global mindset. You know about other countries, about other cultures, what's going on around you in your industry, or even in other fields. You know how to communicate smoothly with people from different nationalities. So that's step one. Step two is, what are the skills actually that will make you very very easy to move from a country to another, from a continent to another. So maybe the skills that you have today are not relevant to the role you are projecting yourself into it, and it's okay. You can, upskill, reskill. Today we have a lot of tools. We have online courses, we have AI. So that strategic skill development is a second step, which is very important. And then we are here today as part of a community, and then we are building a network. So the next step is networking, and the 30 people that are with us are already doing it. So this is the start, actually, attending such an event or another international event, or creating your own network within your company and outside of your company, within your school, within your neighbors. Every single person in your network can tomorrow hold your hand, can tomorrow help you, share a tip, raise you, share a new perspective. And then especially when you want an international career, go reach out to people in the country you want, in the industry you want. Ask questions, just say Happy New Year, or Happy Diwali, or, Happy Ramadan. Try to build that.
Hi, can anyone hear me?
Yes, Sylvia, I can hear
Yes,
you.
I
Yes,
can hear
please.
Okay,
you.
I hear you.
so it's
Looks
from
like we
Sarah's
lost her.
network. Yeah,
Yeah.
we lost her. Yeah, and she's almost done with her slide. Maybe how do we reach out to her to know if she's joining immediately or can? But I know she's almost done. If you have questions for Sarah, please drop on the chat box because we're almost done with this session. Okay, she's back. Thank you. Welcome, Sarah. Can you hear us? Can you hear me?
Now I can
Welcome
hear
back.
you.
Yeah, I guess your network dropped off. You can
Okay.
go
I
ahead.
don't know. I don't know at what time it dropped.
You were talking about connections.
Okay, it was my
Your
last
third
slide.
point to the last one, yeah.
Okay.
We can
I
project
go
the slide again. All right.
Yeah, sorry, I had a network issue. I was not aware. So it was here, Jennifer, about the building connections. Okay, so I will repeat again. So on building connection is very important to have a network, and then at the end is having international brand image. So you have to set yourself as a person who wants to connect internationally and who wants to have that global exposure. So your LinkedIn profile, for example, or if you are present in another platform, so you have to have that personal branding. Work on your personal branding. Love yourself and love what you are doing and showcase it to a world. Is especially very important for women because it doesn't come to us naturally. So you guys really need to do it, especially when it comes to an international career. So again, thank you for having me. I've shared the power skills and I shared the actions, actually, the skills that helped me and the actions that I'm hoping will help you set yourself for an international career. And I would like from here, the women and girls that were with us to carry the torch of empowerment and help other women, reach their goals and amplify their voices. And I'm really grateful of being with you here today. Thank you so much. I hope that the network is still okay.
Yeah, it's okay. I can hear you from my side. Thank you very much for
Thank
this
you, Cynthia.
talking. Yeah, with you. We need to move from being local to the global and to build a very global mindset. My start from the strategies you put in place on building a global mindset. We should strategic skill development as well. So we should strategically identify those skills that are lacking or where there are gaps in us so we could learn and also position ourselves better. Networking and building connections, very, very important. Despite your temperament, it's very, very necessary for every woman to network because you can learn from anybody, and no matter the hierarchy, you can learn from anybody and creating an international opportunity for yourself. These are the last key learnings from you. Thank you so much for this insightful session. I also wanted to ask, I'm waiting for questions for Sarah so she can also, I wanted to ask you, in the Nigerian market when you were in Jumia, what is the cultural background point of view you got from the Nigerian market as against other global markets? Can you tell us a little bit of that here?
Yes, I'll be happy. Maybe first, before talking really business and because we are here in a women forum, I was really struck by how Nigerian women were strong. I had that feeling, just coming. I went few times actually to Lagos for work, and then I feel like Nigerian women are really strong. They have that drive. They are everywhere, even in the warehouse. Actually, few women even in the middle of the night were there. So I'm really proud, and happy to be here with other Nigerian women. The Nigerian markets actually for Jumia was very key because it was the first actually market. The difference is actually first the size. The size is huge, and then on the assortment of the products, actually Nigerian people are very curious and want to try multiple things. They are not only driven by, let's say, promotion and price, which is very important for all African. This is actually true for all Africa, but Nigerian markets, sometimes you will find within the goods that we are selling, things that we are not selling in Ghana or in Morocco or in Algeria, because they are very curious of trying very practical small things. I don't know, maybe I need to give an example, maybe some goodies like for the laptop or for the phones and then colorful things. They will be more curious to buy such things, and it make actually the variety of goods is wider and larger because people are curious, especially maybe the young generation, to try. I don't know if this ring a bell with you, but this is something I found different from other countries where you have shoes, bags, clothes, and then in Nigeria we will have to import other things and then to bring in, because people are very curious and want to keep try new goods.
New things. Oh, that's a cycle. Also, there's something right, so we not need to upscale. Yeah. There's another question for you. What are the most effective strategies? Question is from Haja Belkaki. What are the most effective strategies for women to build global professional networks and connections? Very key question here.
Yeah, to me, the most important strategy is networking. Really, what will help you build a career, Hajar, and other women who are listening to us, is networking. First, networking within your company. It means if today you are in Morocco and you are within an international company, it means that your company has offices in other places. Then you build a network. You start from there, because it's easier. Your company, they know you. You already, have proved yourself. You have results. So maybe your manager or your colleague can talk to another colleague in another place. This is step one. Step two is, LinkedIn. I honestly use only LinkedIn as a platform to network, and then online exposure. You can share, as I mentioned, and I really do it. Wishing Happy New Year, wishing Happy Diwali, Happy Ramadan, or wherever occasion. You have to create those connections, even if you don't know the people, because they are in a country where you want to go, or because you want to build that, international, this is for me the second step. The third one is attend international events. It's very important. And today we have webinars as the one we are having today. It helps a lot. I did it a lot in Singapore. Actually, Singapore is a hub, in Asia, and they had like every few weeks there is something happening, and you go out, like you go out for your friends. So go out to those, networking events, and then be there and ask questions, and talk about yourself. As we say, we all here love ourselves. So talk about Hajar, what you do every day and what you want to do. And honestly, even if you have the skill set, even if you have the mindset, even if you have a personal brand, if you don't have the network, then you can't have a global career. Network is, to me, the most important part.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Very well thought out. Just as all of us are here to, it is true.
Yes.
Together, we wouldn't have met Sarah, we wouldn't have met all the guest speakers if not through networking. That's very effective strategy. So thank you so much. Thank you so much. We don't want this connection to end here. We want to hear from you, more of you, and see more of you. Also reach out.
Thank you.
More things, yeah. Thank you so much. And I'll pass the mic to my other colleague. Thank you, Sarah. So for the last speaker, hi Jennifer, over to you. Thank you.
Hi Sylvia, thank you so much. As we're all seeing, in today's digital world, there's so many opportunities, and it's not just confined to our local, our locality, our locations. And the more we network and grow, that's the only way we get to take our career, our brand, and our businesses beyond Africa. Thank you so much, Sylvia. And we're going to be moving on to the next speaker. And for the next session, we're going to be talking about something that affects every single one of us, which is money. It's one thing to earn money, but it's also something completely different to build wealth, sustain that wealth, and make it work for us. That's where our next speaker, Ola Oladele, comes in. She's a renowned personal finance and wealth management expert. She's also the founder of the Money Wit Club, which is a platform dedicated to helping women understand financial independence and smart investments. Her session is titled Building Wealth Through Strategic Investments, a guide for corporate women in Africa and beyond. This session is going to help us break down practical ways to grow and secure our financial future. So before we welcome Ola, let's do a quick reality check. With a raise of hands, you can use your emojis or raise your hands, whatever is comfortable for you. How many of us have ever said, this month, I'm going to save money? And then your bank account sits you down and says, no, you won't. So Ola is here to fix that for us. Remember, while we enjoy her session, if we have any questions, please put it in the chat box so that at the end of her session, she can answer the questions for us. So please, let's give a big welcome. Clap hands, show celebratory emojis in the chat box as we welcome Ola.
Hello everyone, how are we doing? Please confirm that you can hear me.
Loud and clear.
Okay, and then I'm sharing my screen now. Okay, thank you so much for having me. We'll go right into our session, but I just want you to know that I'm usually very active in the chat. So if you have comments, thoughts, as I'm going through my slides, please feel free to, to drop them, because I'll be looking through. So if you have questions, I'm happy to answer along the way. Or if I can't, I would answer at the end of the session. So today I'm talking about building value through strategic investments, a guide for corporate women in Africa and beyond. A little bit of an introduction about me. I'm a finance professional. I'm a CFA charter holder. I've had over 17 years experience in finance. I've trained, a certified, IFC certified trainer. But basically all I do right now is help people put their finances in order. So I have a company that's a financial wellness company. We have our media, we have a community, and we have our school. And that's all we do. These are some of the companies that we've partnered with. And these are some of the traditional media houses that we have worked with in the past. Now let's get to it. I'm going to be covering 3 things: why you should build wealth, setting your compass, and how to start actually building wealth. Now, I have a question. Or let me tell you, I had a presentation because I teach kids also about money, and had a session in a school where the boys were split from the girls, and they had particular things they were teaching the boys about and particular things they were teaching the girls about, elementary school children. And so I was called in to talk about money. So I had the same presentation for both boys and girls. And so I just want you to, I put this picture in front of them and I did a small poll. Which one would you rather have? Who can guess what the girls wanted? Like 90% of the girls wanted. Please, the chats have to be buzzing on. Who can guess what the girls wanted? Quickly. Random. Very, very random, but it was quite consistent. Who can guess what the girls wanted? I'm waiting. There's no right or wrong answer. Nobody in the chat. The house. You're very correct, Monica. Thank you. 90% of the girls wanted the house. Why? Because it's comfortable, it's cozy. And I now asked them that, but I didn't say you must live in it. I said, which one would you want to own? And they were like, yes, but how would they manage it? It would take too much to build. It would do that. It would do this. But guess what the boys said? They wanted the skyscraper. How would you build this? We don't know, but we want the skyscraper. So one of the reasons why you need to build wealth is because we need to have good images. We need to have strong images for the children around us, for the female child around us. Sorry, I forgot to start with Happy International Women's Day. Let's celebrate ourselves. It's very, very important. And in the thought and the process of celebrating ourselves, we know that there are so many things that are norms around us that we need good images in front of us to break the cycle. So the first reason, especially on International Women's Day, that you need to actually build wealth is for the child, the girl child that is watching you, is looking at your drive and is taking action or taking form of how she should think from. Because I put it to you, most of us women will say, this bungalow is comfortable. Please let me have my bungalow. And it speaks to how our girls take things from us. That's the first thing. So the first reason, for me, that's most important for the sake of the young girls looking up to you. That's why you need to build wealth. Then the second thing is coming to reality. Data shows that women live longer than men, right? Now, the fact is this: you're going to work from, say, 20 to 60, and you're going to make money in that period. But once you retire, money stops coming in, so you begin to depend on your pensions. However, the reality that most people don't think about is that the money you make from 21 to 60, or whenever you start work till that retirement age, is supposed to fund you from that 62 plus X. So for a lot of people, they start off with retirement. A lot of elderly people start off retirement feeling like, oh, everything is good. And then after a while, the quality of life begins to dwindle. Now, if you are female, there's a higher chance that between you and your partner, your spouse, your brother, you're going to live longer, right? So for that sake alone, in this 21 to 60 region of age, you need to actually build wealth. Good morning. If you've never thought about it before, just show a sign that you've never thought about it like this before. Thumbs up, something, a smile, or a in the chat. Something that you've never, just let me know. In fact, I didn't even ask, is where are people dialing in from, or where are people listening from? Please just state your country in the chat, just so that we know, at least for my sake, I just joined in, where you are dialing in from or listening in from, because it's also very important for us to know. I'm waiting. Okay, I see Nigeria, I see Lagos. Please, I just want as many people. I'll look at it later. So yes, so you're going to work from 21 to 60, right? So that work is going to end at some point, but it's what you've done in those energetic years that will determine how your life will be going forward, right? And it's just life. Then, there's another thing, right? This image is of a client that I had. So I also have one-on-one sessions. Now I had a one-on-one session with this lady. She's an energy professional. She's worked for over 20 years, right? She's a boss babe at work. Now, she reached out saying that she needed to have a personal session with me. And so what I do with those sessions is that there are some numbers, we'll just do some calculations, blah, blah, blah. And one of the things that we help you calculate is the time to finish. What is the time to finish? The time it will take for all your wealth, everything you have right now, to finish based on your current lifestyle, right? And it's a very simple calculation, right? But for her, she had worked for 20 plus years, but her time to finish was less than a year, right? Now, what does that mean? It means that she's sitting on a keg of gunpowder. Please, who here has ever calculated the time it would take for their current wealth to finish based on their current lifestyle? I think you should if you haven't, because it's a wake-up call. Never, right? That's something that I do with my clients, and I found it quite instructive, and it just makes people wake up, because a lot of times we as women are hoping, believing, just pushing things into the future, but not being aware of where we are financially, right? So that's food for thought. Now, setting your compass, right? I always like to use the Google Maps model. Why? Because if you've ever used Google Maps before, Google GPS would plot your location, your current location, but you would have to impute your destination, i.e. where you are going. And then you now click start for Google to give you directions, right? But imagine if you have your location and you don't have your destination and you say, Google, take me. Google we won't even have that start button. That start button, you can't click it. Why? Because they'll be waiting for you, or the app will be waiting for you to insert your destination. Now, a lot of people, when it comes to money, they might not even have their location, aka they don't know their time to finish. They don't know, they've not even identified their location. And if you actually have identified your location, you've not actually set that goal to say, this is where I'm going when it comes to money. This is my goal and this amount of time, right? So the question is, how many people have goals, have money goals? If you have a money goal, please just say I have a goal. While I'm waiting for that, I can see, hi Haja from Casablanca. Hi, Peace from Kampala. Hi, Ideze from Port Harcourt. Hi, Abimbola from Canada. Hi, Jennifer from Lagos. Nkechika, I see you. Monica, I see you. All the Lagos babes, I see you. Udwak from Nigeria, I see you. Now, only Jennifer is saying she has a money goal, and we are 30 in this session. So that shows, should I say that? Oh, Adete is also saying that money goals, right? But let's see, let's look at those money goals, right? There are some goals that we tend to say as women that actually are not goals. I want to be better with money. I want to improve my personal brand. I want to buy property. I want to be financially independent. I want to start investing. I want to make more money. Please, if you have ever said these things to yourself as your goal for the year, as your, what's this thing? New Year resolution, please just say I in the chat, right? That you can relate. I want to retire early. Why are these things not goals? Because if you put retire early in Google Maps, it will ask you, what does retire early look like to you? Retire early could mean I want to live in Switzerland. For someone else, retire early could mean I want to live in the village. And both are valid, right? But for a lot of us, it is very, very important to highlight that we need to have SMART goals. Now, let me tell you a quick story of something that I worked on, and it was because I had a goal, right? I had a clear-cut goal. I have an investment community, I think I mentioned earlier. And one of my goals for 2023 was to do an investment property deal. It was either going to be in Africa or in the UK. So I started looking for the deal, right? And what I wanted to bring deals for members of the club to actually invest in. So the goal was to close the property deal for at least 5 people in the club, meaning it would have to be in a price range that people can accommodate. It has to be in a location that people will be excited about. So those things were clearly defined. A goal, that's a destination. And I started looking for the deal. Now, the deal that I ended up finding, I found others, but the one that clicked, that was clear, entry point, everything was fine, was a property deal in Nairobi, central Nairobi, an apartment block, right? And so in the end, before I even got to the end, I had to do due diligence. I had to get lawyers. I'm Nigerian. I had to go through the Nigerian embassy. We did all the work. That's what we do in the club, due diligence, right? I did all the due diligence, engineering works, blah, 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 blah. And what do we have? As of December, and then, there was an off-plan, offer so that people could pay overtime. Part of the whole, it should be affordable and easy for people to do. What was the outcome? By December 2024, we had 10 Nairobi property owners in the club. Full stop. When you have something clearly defined, then your mind can begin to map it out. And it is something that as women, we should take out the vagueness in our goals. I want my children to be comfortable. I want to have a good house. I want to live in a good place. No, there are different definitions of good place. If you want to live, let's say you're in Nigeria and want to live in Ikoyi, there's a numerical amount to the quality, to the amount of money you need to be able to live in Ikoyi. So you put that as your goal. That's how much you need to be able to afford, right? Now, who can guess? This is just me messing around, but I'm going to Nairobi later in the year. Who can guess where I'm going to stay? Yeah, in that same place. What has that done? I have created an asset that is going to save me money. Simple, right? One of the flats, thank you. Now, we always have to set smart goals. So that's your next learning point, because as Muhammad Ali says or said, your hands can hit what your eyes can't see, right? So check it out. That's a very major quote from here. Your hands can't hit what your eyes can't see. So how do you start? There are two parts to starting: mindset and action points. About mindset, right? You see this apple, everybody eats the apple, everybody throws away the seed when they're done. But a farmer who is thinking like a farmer will see the seed and he will say, oh, please let me collect the seeds. Then he plants it in the right environment. He gives it time, plant it in the right soil, in the right environment, gives it time. And then it will start sprouting. It will sprout, the leaves will form, the branches will form, and then finally the apples will show, and then they will be ripe and he can harvest them. Now, what happens is that after he has gotten to that point of harvest, every year, after he harvests this year's bounty, the next year, he will come out again and there will be new apples. Think of the apple as the fruit of your labor. You would eat it and that's fine. But there's a part of it that is your seed, that if you put it in the ground, in the right investment opportunity and give it time, it would actually, after a while, begin to yield returns for you annually. It is the same principle. There is a time factor, there is a good soil, there is an environment, all those things, but it is the same principle. Now, imagine if you had that seed and a cousin came and said they were broke, and they were broke last year and broke the year before, and you now carry your seed and give them. You know that you have not just given them that seed as per nice sister, nice mommy, nice whoever, nice daughter, but you've also taken away the capacity to have a tree that could have covered them. Think about that, especially as women. And I'll say that, and I will say more than that. So let me tell you another story of how these things matter. So for one person in the club, the person joined in 2021, and then they reinvested in a creative asset, right? Now that creative asset, what was it? It was a movie. We invested in Naira. Most of the people in the club then were Nigerian. So we invested in Naira. And then in 2022, we started getting our returns back in USD because the movie was sold to a video on demand company. Think Netflix, Amazon, all those type people, but I don't want to go into the details. Right? So the movie was invested, the money was invested in movie, and then it started paying us back into 2022 into 2023. Right? Now, by the time we finished the payments was the time for this property deal. So guess who carried their money from creative investment? That was a return of almost 7 times money back. So if you put $1,000, you got $7,000 back. Think about it. And so that's, just imagine someone putting a 5K and getting, just imagine that. Now, they now took that money from the deal and put it into the Nairobi property. That is what we are talking about here. You see that harvest? When you take that harvest, you now use it to plant some other seeds somewhere else. That is really how you build wealth. So that is a classic example of how you should be thinking when it comes to money. Are we good? So action points: save, invest, manage risk. Just imagine you have 50,000. I'm using Naira. For some currencies, 50,000 is a lot of money. Like $50,000 is like a lot of money for you to be saving monthly. But just imagine 50,000 or 500, whatever it is in your currency. Now, if you save for 10 years, you'll have 6 million. If you save for 30 years, you would have 18 million. But that same 50,000, if you invest it at 10%, for a lot of African countries, 8, 10, 12% is not too far out, right? That same 6 million that you'd have had for 10 years, in 10 years of 10%, you would have 9 million. In 30 years, instead of the 18 million, you would have 98 million. Think about it, right? It is called the power of compounding. It's the 8th wonder of the world for any finance person. It only favors those who trust it to work. You know that give it time in the apple? Yes, that's the time factor. The simple rule is to reinvest your returns. Do not spend it and watch the magic happen. So think of that person that started off with 5K, got the return on that, put it into a property, and that property is now bringing them cash. So they've moved from 7K so just technically look at it as they use $7,000 or $5,000 to buy a property in Nairobi. Think about it. And so every time they get rental income, just imagine the day the rental income crosses 5,000. Can you just imagine? Just put it out there, right? So I have an offer, right? I always like to have feedback on my sessions, right? My colleague, my EA will drop the link at the end of the session, so you listen through. The first 5 people that give me feedback, they will get something from me, and one lucky person will get a free session, a 30-minute session with me. So wait till the end. I'm almost done, anyways. So what are the viable investments? We can see here, I'm almost done because I need to run. We can see a mall. We can see a bike, a food bike guy. We can see street food, and we can see fine dining. They are, so apart from the mall, the other 3 are food related, but they are different types of investment. But they are all food related, right? Please, this chat room is too quiet. Please, if you are feeling me, please just say hello, I'm here. Don't worry, just keep going. Just let me know what the vibe is, especially because nobody's video is on. So I know that I'm not talking to myself. It's very, very important. We're here. Thank you, Nkechika. Hi, Monica. Okay, fantastic. Thank you. So now it's important to note that you see that woman that is selling stuff by the street, she's an investment opportunity. So a lot of times we take investment and make it so grand and so big. Yes, they are grand and big investments, but investments are all around you, right? They're all around you, and they are investments at your level. Very important for you to note, right? So if you lend a business money, right? It's debt. It could be short-term debt or it's long-term debt. If it's long-term debt, then it's called fixed income. It's a bond. If it's short-term debt, then it's money market. So you have fixed deposits, treasury bills, commercial papers, those things that you see that sound great, grand. That's what it is. Now, if you do an investment where you are going to be a co-owner, equity, shares, that's what it is. Now, it could be public, where you go to the stock exchange and you buy, or it is one that you are part of the co-owners inside CAC, so you will fill form, right? Now, if you fill form with the CAC, that will be filed with the CAC. It could either be private equity if the company is more matured, but if the company is a real startup, very young, it becomes venture capital. Have we seen these words being mentioned, right? These are just what they mean. It's not anything out like above our heads. It's just that when the words come, they just seem more than they really are, but this is what it really is. Now, on the other hand, sometimes these investments I just mentioned, an asset manager would gather your money together and decide that they want to invest in these things. So if they want to invest in bonds, they will call themselves a fixed income fund. If they want to invest in short-term debt, they'll call themselves money market funds. That's literally it. If it's equity, if they are doing stocks, regular public stocks, equity fund. If it's private equity fund. If it's venture capital, it's VC fund. Can you just see how all that is happening here is that an asset manager gathered people's money here, there, small, and then gather it together and put into one thing. That's as simple as it is. But I put it to you that there are more investments that you have money for. Now, if that fund that the asset manager creates is now listed on the exchange, it's called an exchange traded fund. These are things that almost exist in every country that has somewhat of a developed financial market. Like wherever you are, there is a version of this. So you don't have to say, oh, must I go to America? No, in your country, as long as the country is financially or economically, no, politically stable, right? There's no war, any of those things, then you can check. You would find that there are people that are offering these services. And that's speaking to what can I or where can I invest, right? So the most important thing is that there are more investment opportunities than you have money for. You just need to know what to ask for. But beyond even knowing what to ask for, you need to, you need to get educated. Very, very important. But it starts with the fact that all the investment opportunities are around you. The moment they cease to make sense, then don't bother. That's the beginning of the red flags when it comes to investing, right? And so just a reminder of this. We'll soon drop the link because I'm almost done. So what is your responsibility, right? In strategic investing, in building wealth across generations, right? Remember the girl that needs to be inspired. The rule is that you keep your seed. Don't use it to buy hair. Don't use it for all those things. Keep that portion. Don't give it out. And keep your seed. Find the right location, aka investment opportunity. Find the right soil. Sow the seed. Give it time. Harvest and sow more seeds. And that's how you build wealth. Now, if you want to follow me, I have my YouTube channel and my Substack newsletter. So if you are a visual person, my YouTube channel, scan the orange barcode. If you are a reader, then use the black barcode also. If you have any questions, I'm happy to take it now.
Thank you so much, Ola, for that very amazing session. And I always like to say, if financial wisdom was a superpower, what you have given to us right now is a mega upgrade. Thank you so much for that session. We can all agree that Ola has broken down wealth building in a way that's not just practical, but also in a very empowering way, something that we can all relate to, and also reminding us that financial freedom is not just about making money, but also making smart choices with the money that we make. And she delved into strategic investments, long-term financial security. And I think that we all have some very serious homework to do. Now, before we all run and start checking our bank apps and rethinking our spending habits, we'll open the floor now for questions and answers. So if you have any questions, you can please share in the chat box now, and Ola will be happy to answer them. And while I'm just going to look through and see if we have any question, but I do have a question. So I'll just share. Please, you can drop your questions and I'll just read them to her so that she can answer. For women who feel like they probably started investing a little bit late, do you have any advice for people like that on how to catch up and, how can we build wealth efficiently if we didn't start the whole journey early?
Okay, so what I'd say on that is catch up to what? What are you measuring your catch up with?
Exactly.
So I would say that, okay, so my colleague has dropped the link to the feedback form. If you want a free session with me, you might want to drop that there. You might want to jump on that. But I asked that question because personal finance is very personal. So before you even talk about catching up, there's no catching up to do. Personal finance is personal. But there are things that you need to do to achieve your own goals. So I would say, take it more seriously than the person that is 20, right? And is just starting their career. Set those goals, right? And the question now will now be, where are you? How do you actually establish where you are financially? Sometimes people say they're in a bad place, but a bad place is not specific, right? It's just like saying, I need to get to 10. Are you, and you're not in a good place. A good place could be 3, it could be 1, it could be 0. So where are you in a measurable way? And that's one thing I always like to start off my sessions with for clients. Where are you? Now, once you find where you are, and then you determine where you're going, the question is, okay, so what can we do to get to where we want to get to, right? Sometimes for someone that is maybe in their 50s and was planning to retire at 60, it might just be that, you cannot retire at 60. Yes, you might have to leave this job, but let's start positioning for you to start getting consulting gigs. And if you can do this at this price level, based on your experience for this number of years, you can actually change this thing over, right? So it's that sense of, this is my own story. This is where I am. That is highly important. And I mean, sometimes we use words flippantly, but when you say personal finance, it cannot be a catch up because there's nobody to catch up with apart from yourself, if you get what I mean. And sometimes also the goals that somebody else has are not really yours. Some people want to be trillionaires. And some people, if it just give me 10 million, 100 million naira, I'm okay. And both are fine and valid. So that's that. I hope that answers the question.
Perfectly. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much. And there's another question. It says, how do we build a diversified investment portfolio? Is that advisable for a newbie that's just starting out?
Yes, I always recommend that you don't put all your eggs in one basket. It's just a standard thing when it comes to investing. Why? Because the way it is, the economic cycles, and when one investment is doing well, another may not be doing well. Doesn't mean that the one that is not doing well is bad. If you get what I mean. Or you put your money in venture capital. The company has teething issues for the first 3, 4, 5 years. It doesn't mean that it was a bad investment. If you get what I mean. So that if you were depending on that company for dividends to eat, you will be hungry. But it doesn't mean that investment was bad. Such that my final such that I recommend that you put different little in different things, right? But most importantly, build on your education. Right? What you find is that a lot of people say, it's real estate, I know. I just do real estate, blah, 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 and they stick with it. Or I just do treasury bills and I'm comfortable with it. Or I just give people money and they bring it back for me. And that's what I do. As against doing that, which is neither right or wrong in any direction, I would say do a couple of things, but understand each of those things. Take time out to actually build your knowledge about these things.
Thank you so much for this powerful session. So if there's one thing I'm going to be taking away from today's session, it will be wealth is not built by chance, but by very intentional and informed decisions. Thank you so much. And I think we're already nearing the end of today's time with WIFPSA. And as we wrap up this very, very, very amazing event, I'd like to invite Jennifer Opaleke to give the vote of thanks. So Jennifer, over to you.
All right, thank you so much. Okay, is it better now? I think I was connected to 2 devices. That was why
much better.
There was an echo. Can anyone hear me?
Loud and clear.
Okay. All right. Thank you, everyone. On behalf of WIFPSA, I'd like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to everyone who made it today. I mean, it has been a long day and very impactful, I must say. I mean, starting from our keynote speaker, Dr. Monica Eimunjeze, I want to say thank you so much, Ma, for making our time, even within a short notice, to be with us today and impacting us with your wisdom and expertise, setting the tone on why we need to accelerate action, why we need to advance women in leadership. I mean, everything we've talked about today is all about how we can empower women, how we can do better in our little corner. What can we do as we are in our little corner to see how we can keep advancing women? How can we hold each other's hand to ensure that we are advancing, we are pushing forward wherever we are? We are looking out for how we can push women forward to be part of the top management. Because when we have a lot of women who are there, they would start thinking of policies, start putting practices in place that would encourage other women to rise up. That is why we are here. So I want to say thank you so much for our keynote speaker. Thank you to our distinguished speakers. Flavia, who talked about ownership mindset, even while you're working as in an organization, how you need to start thinking as an owner, how you need to think out of the box to push yourself to show what value you're adding, so that whenever opportunities come into place, they would always think about you. I want to also thank Anju, who talked about embracing change and resilience. We can never do without that. I mean, change is something that is constant. Every step in life, every stage in life, you always have a curveball being thrown at you. What do you do with it? How do you react? What do you do? Do you see challenges as an opportunity to pivot to another thing? How do you manage your challenges? What is challenges to you? That is why where resilience comes into play. Then I also want to say thank you so much to Sarah Idrisi, who talked about so much about positioning yourself for global opportunity. There was one thing she said that stood out for me: asking for it. I'm imagining if she did not come out of her comfort zone to ask her management that I want to be sent to this particular place, I want to do this, I want to do that, which
kickstart her career as a global leader. I'm imagining if she did not ask that, she just sat down doing her job, doing whatever she needs to do. I mean, she probably would just remain the same. But because she was able to push out and ask for it, that's actually kickstarted her journey as a global leader. Now, finally, to our money bag, Ola, that talks about finance. I mean, I was writing down, and the question I asked myself, what if I was part of those group that bought those flats in Nairobi? With the current situation in Nigeria, I would have been balling, you know, I would have been balling. I mean, that's something like a food of thought for us. For as women, men do that a lot. They invest, their risk appetite is high, but women, we're always, you know, going to places, we want to put our investments in places where, you know, has low risk sort of. We want to do mutual funds, we want to do only money markets, short-term investments, we'll get our money, I want to see my money. But you need to take more risk. From what she's saying now, you can imagine if you're part of those people who actually got that Nairobi flat. By now, you are, first of all, you have a property outside your locality. That's one of the things we need to start thinking. We need to start thinking global when it comes to investment. The recent economic downturn has taught us something. You need to start thinking of how you can earn in foreign currency. Investment is one of it. You need to start thinking how I can invest in other places that can bring in returns for me beyond my currency. Those are the things we need to think about. So thank you so much, Ola, for opening our eyes. And I'm believing that most of us would reach out to you because we want to learn more. So if you want to become a member of the Money With Club, where she's sharing investment opportunities, please feel free to reach out to her. I'm sure they've dropped their details on the chat. Please feel free. And one good thing is that as a member of WIFPSA, we are going to get some, you know, discount, or, you know, more like we are going to get some benefits coming from as a member of it. So I'm just imagining, what if women in WIFPSA comes together and do maybe purchase property somewhere, group property? You can imagine what that can do for us as women in this community. So we have to start thinking that way. So let's reach out to Ola as much as we can, get to know more about opportunities that are available for us within and outside our locality. So thank you so much once more for our co-moderators. I mean, you guys made it seamless for us. I want to now say final thank you to the attendees, the people who made out their time. Today is Saturday. I know you have a whole lot of places you would have been today, but you made out your time to stay with us today. I hope it was worth your while for you. So thank you so much. At WIFPSA, we are committed to empowering women. We cannot overemphasize on it. We are fostering growth. We are creating platforms where people trend, where people grow. So stay tuned with us. We have a whole lot of activities that we are unpacking this year. And the top of it, the priority for us, is our mentoring program, which will be coming up very soon. So stay tuned to our socials. You will get to hear more information about it, how you can join, how you want to join the mentoring program so that you can become a mentor, you can become a mentee on that website. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. And I want to say, this is not the end. Today, let's take the lessons we've learned today, and once more again, in our little corners, think of how we can accelerate action to accelerate and push women into leadership, advance women into leadership. We as women have to start thinking of how we can take those bold steps and start assuming executive positions, C-suite positions, you know, even governments as well, to in politics as well, to places that we can make policies that can impact other women. Thank you so much for coming, and I think I'll end it here, and I'll hand over to the moderators to finally close the session. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. Thank you everyone for joining us. We've come to the end of today. Remember to find the Google form, the link to the Google form to join WIFPSA, and you can indicate your interest to join, and someone will reach out to you. I hope everyone has had a fantastic day today, like I have. I hope everyone has learned a thing or two. And once again, happy International Women's Day to all the lovely ladies on the call today. I wish everyone a great evening ahead. So remember, today's your day. Take some time out to relax and not overthink, and just celebrate yourself. Tell yourself you're worthy to be celebrated and that you love yourself. Thank you so much, everyone, and have a great day today. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.